While researching for this video, I found several photos of the Houston legend J. Prince with his fingers in the shape of a gun, as if to say, "Bang, I got you." Unless you've been under a rock for the past 30 years, you got to know who J. Prince is. He's a very powerful business mogul with old school street ties that can get you touch from wherever he stands. He's considered a gangster who's done enough in the public's eye to make any man respect, if not fear him. But even J. Prince found himself in the hot seat, fucking around with a New Orleans nigga that had nothing to lose.
We need to, take some kind of action. You know what I'm saying? This is just a beginning. It's just a beginning and a step towards the right way.
What was Big Mike and Rap-A-Lot's relationship like? Or Big Mike and J. Prince relationship like?
From what I know, it was a business relationship and it didn't turn out nice at the end.
That's what started the rockiness in the relationship with me and Rap-A-Lot. It came to an ugly head on contractual disputes and leading into some gangster shit. And I wound up having to go to the penitentiary.
You listen to the interview with Prince. Prince trying to push it off like Mike was on Sherman, was fucked up. But that wasn't the case.
Everybody was wondering what happened to Big Mike, what happened to Big Mike, all kind of rumors going around. Man, he was on drugs, he went crazy. None of this is true. I did as much drugs as any other artist did drugs at the time. You feel me? Yeah. Right? None of this is true.
He really was just playing with a New Orleans. You can't do that shit you was doing with Scarface and Zero, all them bullying niggas out their career. And like you did in New Orleans. New Orleans really ain't going for that.
My record company had them in faulty. They came at me faulty. But when I came back at them, how they came back at me, people go to the authorities. I wind up in the penitentiary. I'm like, all right, cool. I called that shot. Feel me? I'm gonna take my lick.
Jacking brothers up, trying to capture me. Coppers want a gap for me, trying to put bullets into the back of me.
This is Big Mike, the first man from New Orleans to get a nationwide rap record deal, and the only man on record who got pushed by J. Prince and pushed back.
Even when we played cops and robbers on the block, nobody wanted to play the cop.
Michael Barnett, better known to the world as Big Mike, was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, but was raised in Houston, Texas, which gave him the best of both cities. He's a lyricist with rhymes fueled by the street life of both cities, but New Orleans is in his blood, and it came out after he was pressed by one of the industry's most feared figures, J. Prince.
Bro, does Mike share any experiences with you or anything you can share about him with the Ghetto Boys?
Yeah, but I'd rather Mike tell his story, man, because Mike, we could get Mike on here. I'm going to get Mike on here so he can tell his story, But
yeah, he promised me an interview about 2 years ago.
Yeah, we don't lie.
Because the MCL told a story, and he called me and said, "Wayne, man, can you please take that shit down?"
Yeah.
You had something to do with it.
Look, he called me to get your number.
If I had to see if I was closest to one of them, it was Big Mike. Big Mike was from New Orleans like me. He was from the Florida Project. Jay was ready to make me take Willie D's place in the Ghetto Boys.
He was like, "Man, you know that video, Wayne?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's my partner." Man, call him, dog, because this we got on his story, he not telling the truth. It's bad low. He said, "Man, I just need to holler at him." And I think I linked y'all up. Well, I did link y'all up. And you hollered at him. But Mike good people, bro. That's a real one. And the story he told about the Ghetto Boys, to me, I feel like it's a story for him to tell, because it's some real shit.
Let's start at the beginning. The New Orleans native Big Mike moved to Houston, Texas at an early age due to constant trouble being available on every corner. And Mike was no stranger to it. Some of these same street episodes and real-life encounters would show up later in his lyrics, which made him one of the greatest mental picture painters in hip-hop.
Say, man, y'all keeping up way too much traffic at the door, man. You ain't gonna be satisfied till they want up off here and everybody be locked down. Say, fool, dog, you gotta get yours your way, dog. I gotta get mine my way, dog. Let's see it. Say, dog, I gotta have it, dog.
In the early 1990s, Big Mike and 3-2 made up the group The Convicts, who at the time were unsigned members of Death Row Records, but they were close to Suge Knight and made moves with the label as if they were family. Then, in 1992, after Willie D left the Ghetto Boys, Rap-A-Lot Records owner J. Prince thought it was a good idea to bring Mike in as the new third member. and Mike obliged.
We used to kick it on the Ave at night, coming up, trying to have the finer things in life.
When I first got over to the label, when I signed as a member of the Convicts, you know, me and Feud, we would spend a lot of time together. You know what I'm saying? We knew some of the same people and things like that. You know what I'm saying? We was from the same side of town and shit, you know what I mean? So, we did know each other before, prior to recording that Ghetto Boys project.
Being here in Texas right now, performing motherfucking Big Mike and Paul Wall and all these, you don't understand. It's one thing to do music, it's another thing to feel the love from all the music that your environment does.
You know, I had wrote for Bushwick, you know, We Can't Be Stopped album. I wrote The Other Level of the Game for Bushwick, you know what I mean? And me and Bushwick spent some time together.
Big Mike's run with the Ghetto Boys was well accepted by half of the fans, but the other half were like, who's the new guy? It wasn't until Mike's 1994 album release, titled Something Serious, that made him a household name.
Just another young nigga having things made.
Time brings change, and change comes with time.
Big Mike was the first from the NO to get a major record deal, and was the first from the city with a story on how the industry tried to play him.
That's what started the rockiness in the relationship with me and Rap-A-Lot. You know, it came to an ugly head on contractual disputes and leading into some gangster shit, and I wound up having to go to the penitentiary.
After success and a bumpy road at Rap-A-Lot Records, Big Mike started asking for money that was owed to him, but allegedly, label owner Jay Prince had other plans, which included Mike signing a new contract in order to get his earnings that was already owed. That's when things got gangster real quick.
My record company had them in faulty. They came at me faulty. When they came at me faulty, I ain't go to the authorities.
The feud between Jay Prince and Big Mike was before the internet, so it didn't play out online. But Mike had told his side of what happened several times before through interviews, and his story never changed. Allegedly, Jay Prince put a hit out on Mike and had his house shot up in the midst of their feud. Mike, in turn, burned down one of Rap-A-Lot's studios. The ball was now in Jay Prince's hands. But instead of keeping it street, he decided to get the law involved.
But when I came back at them, how they came back at me, people go to the authorities. I wind up in the penitentiary. I'm like, all right, cool. I called that shot. Feel me? I'm gonna take my lick.
Big Mike was arrested, charged with arson, and spent 3.5 years in prison for it. But when he got out, he'd learned there were rumors of him losing his mind, tripping on drugs, and several other things that made him look bad. So Mike started an interview campaign where he cleared his name and told his side of the story.
You know, everybody was wondering what happened to Big Mike, what happened to Big Mike, all kind of rumors going around. Man, he was on drugs, he went crazy. None of this is true. I did as much drugs as any other artist did drugs at the time. You feel me? Yeah. Right? None of this is true.
You listen to the interview with Prince. Prince trying to push it off like Mike was on Sherm and was fucked up. And if a did smoke Sherm, to each his own. They got who smoke crack, who make DMX smoke crack. So, I mean, your DOC, your choice of drugs, your choice of drugs really don't determine what type of person you are.
The Big Mike Rare Report interview was supposed to happen years ago, but it's something about the way Video Wayne produce and present the story that makes it 1,000 times more believable, and oftentimes controversial, and it's probably why the interview never happened.
Just because you do his interview and he tell his story, Jay Prince and them shouldn't be mad at you. To me, when do shit like that, that's whole shit. Don't be mad at a for interviewing. If you a man, tell your side of the story, and let's see how, and let the people decide what's real. Just telling their story, and everybody had a right to tell their side of the story.
Does Mike have an issue with telling the story because of Rap-A-Lot or because of what they might feel or say?
No, because I've seen him on other podcasts tell his story, right? And the reason I wouldn't repeat his story, because when he told me his story, it may have been stuff that he told me that wasn't for the podcast. You get it?
Like Ghetto Boy, Scarface, Willie D, and Bushwick Bill. But guess what? Y'all forgot about Big Mike.
Mama called me up the other day, I got a warrant. Seems the police want to know where the gun went.
Because don't too many people include Big Mike in a lot of shit with New Orleans. Because he blew up in Texas. But to me, The nigga used to rep New Orleans a lot. And see, it put my in a funny place. The same place I feel like I be at sometimes. When New Orleans do they shit and celebrate their artists, they don't include Big Mike. And when Texas celebrate their artists, they don't really include Big Mike. So it put my in a funny place to me, right? I tell him all the time, come home. Even though his fan base is out of Texas mostly, but come home. I tell him all the time, man, come to New Orleans and do more shit.
Throughout these years, I learned to get down for mine. Had to do some crime with the attitude of not giving a fuck.
All right. When I met Big Mike, he was fresh home from doing his jokes. So Big Mike was just one of the people I looked up. And he was one of my favorite artists. So I followed him, got on his social media, and reached out to him. And he asked me for some money for the feature, but I didn't have the money at the time. I always told him, you'll be the first feature I pay for, which he became the first feature I paid for. But it was like, he did that intro for me for my mixtape. My mixtape did good because we used to sell tapes on the streets. So I had Big Mike on my mixtape, and probably a week later was my family reunion. So when I went to the Taylor reunion, I linked up with you meet new cousins every year. I linked up with one of my cousins. Had just met him, and we was in the car rapping. He said he rap, I rap. We in there freestyling, and then he said, yeah, my close cousin is Big Mike from the Ghetto Boys. Now that's how the world works. This shit was just 2 weeks ago. I was on the phone with Mike. I still got his number in my phone. Rapping. He was like, yeah, I'm finna go to Houston and link up with him. So I'm like, damn. I said, bro, I just talked to Big Mike last week. Nigga looked at me like I was lying. I'm finna call him now. Call Mike. This is my close cousin. When you look at Big Mike albums he dropped when he came home from jail, it's a nigga on that name, Lil Manny. That's Manny King. That's my cousin. He sell fruit in New Orleans right now. Fruit Orleans. Shout out to Fruit Orleans. He hooked us up. Big Mike was like, man, we finna be in Houston making music. I ain't think nothing of it. 2 weeks later, I got in an altercation with my ex-girlfriend and her new shit went down. We'll get into that story later. Long story short, I had to get the fuck from Mississippi immediately. The police looking for me. I got the fuck. My mom was like, go to Houston by your cousin you met. Went by Manny. We bumped in the mic. Thought I ain't do no music with him yet. Just thought, hanging around me. Real, just like me and you, just a real hanging around Mike. Collecting jewels. He dropping jewels, I'm catching him. So now, Mike is like a big dog. I can holler at Mike whenever. And shit, I got a feature with him. I ain't even dropped the song yet. When that bitch dropped, that bitch taught.